What do you think is better to do, the lead in the screen or?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, up front.
Pull down and just compact it and open itself. Yeah, just a minute. There's that number one here. Oh no. Yes. I don't even see it because I'm watching it.
Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you for coming, I appreciate it. I had a few requests over the last several months that people were interested in knowing a little bit more about Medicare and how it works with our insurance. So I invite Nicole Henry from CIS to come and do a little presentation. So bring it over to Nicole.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you everybody for coming. Like Gavin said, there's a lot going on when you're turning 65 or when you're retiring or when you're over 65 in terms of Medicare and healthcare. So, I'm just going to talk briefly about Medicare and just, what it is and how it affects your plans. And then go over the options that you, as college representative, retirees, and retiring spouses have. So with that said, I'll get started. Again, my name is Nicole Henry. I am an account manager for CIS. Just so you guys know who CIS is, we are basically a risk-sharing pool here in the state of California. We're pretty large. We've got almost 400 school districts with over 220,000 covered members. So we're a pretty large entity, and we pride ourselves on being nonprofit and being able to provide really great benefits at really low rates. So with that, and being a retiree college of the desert has basically allowed you to participate in our program, which is a really, really great program. So with that said, I'll get started. Medicare 101 and CIS free retiree benefits. This is just a brief overview of Medicare. There are different parts to Medicare, but the three main parts that we're concerned about are Part A, which is hospital coverage, Part B, which is medical coverage, which basically means your coverage when you go to a lab or when you go to see your doctor. That's Part B of Medicare. And Part D, prescription drug coverage. Now, if you're on one of the CIS plans, you do not need to enroll into Part D. But it is an important thing to know about, so I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that when people refer to Part D, it's the prescription drug coverage. The members are eligible for Medicare parts A and B the first of the month in which they turn 65. So, with 90 days prior to that, if you're approaching your 65th birthday, you're going to receive something from Medicare letting you know that, okay, you're at this age and what you need to do to get Medicare. We at CIS will also reach out to you if you're enrolled on one of our plans, whether you're an active employee or a retiree. We will reach out to you and let you know you're coming up on your 65th birthday, here's what you need to do. And basically, with that letter saying, if you're on a retiree plan, or if you're the spouse of a retiree, we require that you have Medicare A and B just to be on the plan. So I just want to make sure that's clear. If you're an employee or the spouse of an employee, we don't require it at that time. We typically recommend that you get Part A, which is the hospital coverage, because it typically doesn't cost money to the member. Sometimes it does, but for the most part, members don't pay for Part A. So we say it's to your advantage to get it, but it will pay secondary to our CIS plan. So that's up to you if you want to get it. Part B, medical coverage, is a paid-for coverage. You do pay, right now it's a little over $100 a month. It kind of depends on your income levels, how much you pay for it. But you do pay for that benefit. And that's up to you. If you wanted to get it while on an active employee plan, you could, but it would pay secondary to our plans. That being said, the flip side, retirees, if you're a retiree or the spouse of a retiree, the plan is actually going to pay secondary to Medicare. Meaning Medicare would pay primary for your place, and our plan would pay secondary. For that reason, we require that spouses and retirees at that age enroll in it. So that's why we reach out to you, and we try to explain all that in the letter, but it is a lot of information. And for those of you who are over 65, probably know you get a lot of mail when you're approaching your 65th birthday. But keep your eyes out from CIS, because that's the one from our organization. You may even get stuff from, Blue Shield Direct, but the CIS one is the one you really, really need to be looking at, because that's from our organization, and that's telling you how it's going to specifically impact the benefits you're enrolled on now. But I'm sure, as you know, mail's coming from all the different carriers at that time, because they all, want your business, and rightly so, and there's a lot of good options out there, but if you're interested in sticking with the CIS benefits, look for that system. And then the last one here just goes with the fact that we require both Parts A and B of Medicare. So if you're on a retiree plan and you're approaching that age, we would require a copy of your Medicare card with Parts A and B. So just make a note of that. If that's something we need, and you just take it in to your human resources department, and at that point, you do have more options, which is a good thing. So you can, because again, you're going to have Medicare now, so it's going to pay primary, so we give you more options. You can continue on the plans that the district offers to all retirees, the under 65s, and the active, and you can go to a Medicare supplement or advantage plan, which is usually what people do just because it costs a lot less. And that's what I'm going to start with, the two Medicare plans we offer, Medicare supplement plan and the Medicare advantage plan. This is the Medicare plan option. It's called companion care. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it, but it is the Medicare supplement plan. And it costs $347 per month per member. So if you got an employee and a spouse, it's $347 per person. That's the rate for 2012, 2013. I just say that to protect us just in case it does change in the future, but that's what's out right now. Again, it's a supplement plan, which means it only covers Medicare eligible expenses. It acts as a supplement to what Medicare is. So if Medicare covers it, companion care is going to cover it. And if Medicare pays 80% of the bill, companion care will pick up the 20% for you so that you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses when you get Medicare-approved services from providers that accept Medicare assignment. Now, and that brings me to the network here. The providers accepting the Medicare assignment. That's an important term, Medicare assignment. Because if you're going to a physician that's accepting Medicare assignment, they're basically contracted to take Medicare's reimbursement as payment in full, and then your companion care supplements that, makes it to where you don't pay anything when you go to the doctor, when you go to the lab, or when you go to the hospital. Works really, really well as long as you're seeing doctors and providers that accept Medicare assignment. Because there are doctors out there that will take Medicare's payment, but they won't take it as payment in full. And those are the instances where you may have to pay a little bit more. But that said, the Medicare assignment network is huge. You can find it out on the Medicare website. You can ask your providers, are you a provider that accepts Medicare assignment? And if they do, then you're good to go. And this plan was designed so that all you really pay is $347 per month in terms of your medical benefits. It's designed so that when you go to the doctor, when you go to the lab, you're not hit with those little bills and co-payments. You don't pay anything when you're there. As long as you get Medicare covered charges, going to Medicare providers, then you're good. You don't really pay much. You know, there are instances when you would, like if you have a really, really long hospital stay. But for the most part, it's a really, really easy plan to use, and it was designed to be that way for retirees. Again, it only covers Medicare eligible expenses, which is a lot. You know, Medicare covers a lot, and of course, Medicare is going to cover anything medically necessary. So it's good. Nationwide coverage is another bonus to this. Because it uses this Medicare assignment network, there are Medicare assignment providers throughout the nation. So if you're someone who travels and likes to just have that peace of mind of knowing when they leave the state of California that they're covered, this is a really great plan because you do have coverage everywhere you go. Again, even though it's provided by Anthem Blue Cross, the network you use for this plan, Medicare network. Find it on the Medicare website. It's kind of an easy rule of thumb. Medicare covers it, companion care is going to cover it. There's no prescription drug donut hole or coverage gap. And for those of you who don't know, when you're enrolled in Medicare Part B, outside of CIS, there's what's called a donut hole, where the plan pays the first up to a certain dollar amount for your prescription drugs. Then there's kind of a gap in the middle where you, as the member enrolled on Part B, would be responsible for it. And it can be very large. And then the plan starts picking up again once you satisfy a certain dollar. So if you've got a lot of prescription drugs, you're going to pay a lot out of pocket. On this plan here, we do not have a coverage gap. We cover it for you. What we do is we enroll you into Medicare Part B automatically, and we satisfy that donut hole for you. So that all you experience at the pharmacy is a $9 generic copay and a $35 brand new copay. It's actually really, really easy to use, and we have a lot of members on this plan. And people seem to be really, really happy with it. Again, it's $347 a month, but when you go see your providers, as long as they're Medicare providers and you're getting Medicare eligible expenses, you don't pay much at all. I mean, you probably won't pay anything at all. There are certain instances, the only reason I can say you'll never pay is because there are certain instances, like a really long hospital stay with you. But for the most part, plan is designed to be really, really easy to use. You just pay your $9 generic copay at the pharmacy, $35 brand copay at the retail pharmacy, and other than that, everything's covered with the $347 per month. So when you go see your doctor 4 or 5 times a month, you don't ever pay for those copays. You just pay the 347. Yes?
I guess, you said that there are some physicians that will take Medicare assignments, some that will take Medicare only, are there some that take one, not the other, or some that take both? I mean, and how would you know? By checking the network?
Yes, by checking the network and by asking them. And the Medicare assignment, for the most part, providers take Medicare assignment, which basically means they're contracted to take it and pay it in full. What will happen is Medicare, for instance, a regular office visit, Medicare is set to pay 80% of that office. Companion care, as a supplement, would pay the additional 20. And if that doctor takes Medicare assignment, they're saying, we have to accept exactly what the plan is paying and not bill the patient anything. If they're just not another doctor, they'll take the reimbursement from Medicare, but they can still charge more because they're not contracted. And I just say that to warn everybody. For the most part, I mean, again, we've got about 2,000 people on this plan, and for the most part, people are really, really happy. They find that almost everybody does take Medicare assignment, and even if a specific provider doesn't, there are plenty of options out there. People are really happy with it. It's really easy to use. That's the biggest thing we hear about it. And the coverage gap, that's huge. You do not pay coverage gap. And sometimes I know we get that question a lot. You know, I'm looking at plans outside the system, they seem so much cheaper. I can find plans that are, you know, almost cost me nothing. And the main thing that we find is the coverage gap with the donut hole. That's usually the biggest difference. There'll be other minor differences, but for the most part, if you're ever looking outside the system and want to compare, you know, companion care, for instance, to another supplement, direct with Anthem or direct with whoever, just be sure to ask about that coverage gap. It's really important. So that's the companion care plan. Just to let you know, when you turn 65, you'll be eligible for this, but we do need advance notice. We need 45 days notice to enroll you on this plan. And you can actually enroll any time of the year, but we need a copy of your Medicare card with parts A and B, and then there's an enrollment form that can be resources. But again, 45 days notice. And if you've got an under-over combination, you know, you're a retiree and a spouse, one of you was over, one of you was under, the one who's over can go to this plan, while the other one remains on early 65 or under 65. And I'll get to those under 65 plans later. So that's companion care in a nutshell. It's a really popular plan, it's really great coverage. People seem really happy with it. Blue Shield Medicare Advantage Plan. Now this is new to just this year. We're really excited to provide it. And the reason is because if you look, $189 a month. That's a pretty big difference between the 347. But this plan works a little bit differently. When the companion care, I guess you can maybe more compare it to a PPO type of coverage where you can go nationwide, and as long as you're seeing Medicare providers, you're covered. With this plan, it works more like an HMO. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with HMOs or who have been on an HMO, but you have to live in an eligible zip code. You can't just live anywhere. If you move out of state, you can no longer be on this plan, or if you move out of an eligible zip code, you can no longer be on this plan. But if you live in one of their zip codes, and I have the listings here with me today if you're interested, you can enroll on this plan. The network is not the Medicare network like I was talking about with companion care. The network of providers is a Blue Shield network. And I actually have flyers here today that will help you find, if you're interested in this plan, help you find providers. And like an HMO, you do have to pick a doctor in a medical group. So you pick your doctor in a medical group when you enroll. Again, you need 45 days notice. But that doctor and medical group are in charge of directing your care. Just like an HMO, that doctor is going to be providing your care, approving your care, giving you referrals. You're not going to get any care unless it's approved by your doctor and or medical group, which is typically how HMOs work. And if you're someone who likes an HMO, it's a really good plan because it works similar to that. It makes it kind of easy on the retiree as well. When you're on this plan, what you basically do is you're assigning your Medicare over to Blue Shield. You say, okay, here, take my Medicare. And you guys make me a nice, pretty benefit that's really easy to use, and that's what they do. So they take your Medicare, and then they charge $189 a month, and they give you one card. You put away your Medicare card, and you use your Blue Shield card. And then it kind of works like an HMO, and that's what you're experiencing. The only reason the premium is $189 per month is because now they've got your Medicare, and they're getting those funds for you. All right, Medicare Part B formulary, and that's the same as companion care. I don't know if I mentioned that, but the formulary, which, you know, for those of you who don't know what a formulary is, it's basically the list of covered drugs. It's the same as Medicare Part B, which is pretty industry standard. Again, there's no coverage gap on this plan. So you're not subject to that donut hole that you may be subject to in Part B by itself, or maybe pick another plan outside of this. And the prescription drug plan here is a little bit more, $10 for generics, and then as you see there's 30 and 50. Those are two tiers. The 30 is for preferred brands, and the 50 is for non-preferred brands. So until the plan actually knows what drug it is, I wouldn't be able to say if it's a 30 or a 50, but there are some in both packages. So you pay a little bit more for your prescription drugs. You do have an office visit copay, and I have the benefit summary for these plans here today too, for you guys to pick up later. But there is a $20 office visit when you go to the doctor. On the companion care plan, for instance, there is no office visit copay. On this plan, basically it works like an HMO. You go and pay your copays, and your doctor has to approve your care and it's free. So that's, it's a little bit more restrictive, not quite broad. You have to live in a certain zip code, you have to pick a doctor. But you're only paying the $189 per month as opposed to paying the $347 for paying. And again, it's a new plan to us, but we're really excited. There was a big need for a plan that was a Medicare plan that was a little more cost effective. Because Medicare, don't get me wrong, that's probably one of the best supplement plans you're going to find. But it does cost $347 a month, and retirees on high incomes, that can be a lot of money. So here's a good option for you to live in the place. And I know that a lot of the citizens in this area are eligible. But retirees tend to relocate, so you have to come check. And again, I have the materials here today. You can check this. But I believe HR will have those materials as well to check this. So that's the Blue Shield Medicare Advantage. Now I'm going to talk about the plan options that all active employees have and under 65 retirees. And you guys actually have 4 options. You have 3 PPOs and 1 HMO. So I'm going to start with the PPOs. These are the options that if you're under 65, you're probably on one of these or the HMO. And if you're an active employee, you're on one of these. So these again are really, really great plans. But remember that if you have Medicare, they're going to pay secondary to Medicare. So that's something to take in mind. Sometimes when people have Medicare, they think, well, why am I going to pay for an expensive plan if my Medicare is going to pay primary anyways? But other people like the peace of mind that these plans provide. They pay secondary, but they're really, really rich coverage. With that said, I'll go into the plans. These are Blue Shield PPO plans. There's actually 3 options right now for employees. One is a 100% plan, with a this is a 100% plan. The D tells us what the deductible is on the plan. And for those of you, I'll just briefly explain how PPO plan works so you can know. PPO plans have a few different components. The first one is an office visit copay. On these plans, it's this dollar amount right here and right here and right here. That's how much you pay when you just have an office visit. You have a sore throat, you see your doctor, or you go to an urgent care, or you just see your primary care for a visit. That's the dollar amount you pay. You don't pay any deductible or co-insurance, you just pay your copay. After that, you've got your prescription drug copays. Again, note that these amounts right here, the $7.25. $7 for generic, $25 per gram. You always pay those. They don't accumulate to anything. They're just a given. You're going to pay that. The good thing about these plans is that you can actually get your generic prescriptions free at Costco, which is kind of a big deal on the side note. But this D here tells us what a deductible is. And a deductible is for anything other than an office visit copay, prescription drug copay, or routine preventive care. Anything other than that is subject to deductible. And that's the dollar amount that you as the member would have to pay out of pocket towards your medical claims before the plan starts paying. So for instance, on this 100D plan, and again, I've got the materials here later for some quick details, but this 100D plan has a $300 individual deductible. So for instance, if you needed to seek services, say you needed a surgery, what's going to happen is you have to pay that $300, the first $300 towards that medical claim. Then the plan would pick up the given percentage, in this case 100%. Well, in this plan, that surgery would cost you $300. Plan would pay 100% for the rest of the year for you. So that's kind of how the PPOs work. This one is still the richest plan. You only pay that $300. Then after that, plan pay that 100%. You pay your $20 when you go to your doctor for an office visit, and then you pay this at the pharmacy. The next plan works the same exact way. Same exact things are covered. It's covered on one plan, it's covered on all plans. But this one is a 90C with a $10 plan. So the difference here is when you go to that same office visit, you're only paying $10 on this plan. What you is, you know, if you're seeing a lot of doctor visits, that can make a big difference for you. The C here tells us exactly what your deductible. Excuse me, deductible is on the screen. It's actually $200 on that machine. Excuse me. You need water? No, I'm good, sir. Don't worry. No, I'm gonna get this water. You know what? I'm fine now. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry.
Nothing works than presenting and not being able to talk.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry about that. I was talking, but when I took a breath, finally I realized how dry my throat was and I couldn't talk anymore. I'll wait till she comes home. Thank you so much. And I apologize, how professional, but what's that?
This is a desert, and it's very hot.
It must be. You know that?
And also, there's a lot of foliage. Lawns are being redone.
A lot of pollen
Oh, you're
dust.
probably filled with all that.
Oh, it must be. That just hit me. I so apologize. That just hit me. How embarrassing. I'll wait till they come back so they can do this. Is it making sense so far? Is everybody kind of? There's a lot to it. There's so many options. Yes.
I have a question. When you turn 65, must you, what if you just don't respond to any of the mail? Do you have to sign up for it? Is it like the draft?
That's actually an excellent question. If you don't have to, but if you don't, thank you. Oh, bless you. I have a special place in heaven. You have no idea. That was an excellent question. I'll repeat it. If you don't, I so tell you how we require Medicare when you turn 65. If you don't do it, what will happen is we will charge the district a surcharge for you not having it, and it'll be significantly more. Right now, for missing Part B of Medicare, it's $600 per month, in addition to the premiums you would charge.
Is that with spouses as well?
Exactly, yes.
And how long after you turn 65 do you have to sign up?
Well, Medicare gives you a window of time surrounding your 65th birthday to enroll in Medicare, and I believe you can start going about 60 days prior. And they give you this, you have to double check with Medicare, just because I would hate to misquote them, because I don't work for Medicare. But from what I understand, start 60 days prior to your 65th birthday, where you can go in and enroll, and you do have a window of time after in case you miss something or forgot. But I think we're really active about reaching out and making sure everybody's enrolled. And us at CIS, if we notice someone's coming up on their 65th and they don't have their Medicare card, we do everything we can to notify human resources here that contact us. So a lot of times the employer will have the best relationship with the retiree, they can actually pick up the phone and call you. But yeah, there are instances when retirees have moved and no one can get in touch with them, and what we end up doing is surcharging, and the district's the one who ends up paying for it. Or trying to collect it from retirees. So that's why these meetings are really good, so we can know how important it is. It is. We'll get to one way.
I just see one of those. I'm trying to understand.
And so you know when we came up with that figure of 600 for this insurance, it's basically, like I said, our plans would be secondary to Medicare. And bills for someone who's over age 65 can be very, very expensive. Hospital claims can be tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. And Medicare paying primary as opposed to CIS paying primary, it can account for a lot of money lost for the plan. And because of how our structure works, we're a risk sharing pool, all the money that comes in for premium is paid out for the hospital claims. We have 3% administrative fees, that's it. Every other, so for instance, every dollar that comes into CIS, 97 cents goes out to pay medical claims. There's only a 3% admin fee. And we pride ourselves on that, but for that reason, we have to protect the pool, we protect all of our member districts, all of our by making sure everybody who's eligible for Medicare has it, and for those who don't, we have to rate them appropriately so that we get a different premium. But that's even on the back end of the surcharge. We really just, we require it. And nobody wants that surcharge. That's just, and it's the amount of money to pay. You know, Part B only costs about $100. So good question though. Thank you so much. So I'll kind of resume where I was with this 90% plan. This 90% plan here, it actually has to be $200 deductible. So that same surgery on this plan, you're going to pay the first $200 towards it. Then the plan is actually only going to pay 90% of your claim after that. You as the member are going to pay your 10% claim. But your 10% isn't forever. Your 10% does max out at $300. So that same surgery, let's pretend it was really, really expensive. It would cost you your $200 deductible plus your $300 co-insurance. Excuse me. So that surgery up here is going to cost you $300. That's it. That surgery down here is going to cost you $500. So let's try the difference. This plan here is a little bit more cost sharing for the member. But as you can imagine, yeah, this plan's base, but this plan also costs the most up front. When you pay your premium, you pay more for this plan. This one's a little less, and then this one's a little even further less. It's actually a really popular plan because it still provides good coverage, but there is quite a bit of cost sharing involved. $30, that's what you pay when you go to your office visit. So same office visit here is going to cost you $10, here it's going to cost you $30. This G here is telling you that it's got a $500 deductible. That means the same surgery that we talked about up here, down here, the member's going to pay the first $500 towards that surgery. Then the plan pays 80% of the bill. The member pays 20%. That 20% though is capped. You're not paying that 20% forever. But if that 20% should reach $1,000, then the plan would pay out 100% for the remainder of the calendar year. So same surgery, if it was really, really expensive surgery, it would cost $1,500 on this plan. As you can imagine, that's a little bit more, but take in mind that the premium here that you pay every month is also much less than it is for one of these other two. So you kind of pay one way or the other. You pay up front for your premium, or you pay it when you use the benefit. But that's how the PPO plans do work. And they all have, for convenience, they all have the same prescription drug copay. Again, on these PPO plans, you can go to Costco, you can get your generics absolutely free. PPO plans, just to kind of give you a background on it, they provide flexibility and freedom. PPOs, you can go in and see any doctor you want. You don't need a referral. You can go see specialists. You can travel out of the country. You can travel all over the nation. You're going to find in-network contracted providers everywhere you go. Really, really great for people who want that flexibility and freedom. Again, no referrals necessary for specialists. If you find a specialist, if you want to go, just make sure they're contracted and you go. There's nobody directing your care, kind of like an HMO. The cost sharing, though, that's kind of something that's different about it from an HMO. HMOs, you typically pay a flat dollar amount, like a copay for things. This plan, actually, I kind of explain how the cost sharing works, where you pay, your $300 up here and your $200 here. So it's not quite, you don't know exactly what you're going to pay ahead of time. You just pay a certain dollar amount towards your benefit. And taking my on these plans, when I say you're paying 20% and 10%, it's also the percentage of negotiated rates. The rates are not the full rates, they're negotiated lower rates, but you do pay a percent. And members can be balance load for out-of-network charges. That's something to note on a PPO plan. And I'm kind of more referring to people who don't have Medicare. But you can be balance load for out-of-network charges, even if you do so inadvertently, say it's an emergency, and you go to a hospital and the ER physician in that hospital, even though the hospital itself is contracted, maybe the ER physicians are not, or the ambulance is not contracted. In that case, the plan will say, hey, wait a minute, I realize it's an emergency, so we're going to reimburse, just like as if it were in network, but only of what's customary and reasonable in the industry. So the provider, though, if they're not contracted with Blue Shield, they can actually bill you more. They can bill more than what's customary and reasonable, and you as the member may be responsible for that. Sometimes when those instances happen, the providers, we always encourage members to go to that provider and ask them to maybe write that amount off, but it can happen. They do sometimes write it off, sometimes they discount it, sometimes they make the member pay it and pull the difference. Again, it's not too common because the network's so huge, but it can happen. That's kind of the flip side of the freedom that you get from it. That you also have to make sure you're seeing contracted providers. But again, the network's really big. The only time we really see people who going out of network is during the week. Okay, so that's kind of PPO in a nutshell. As College of the Desert retirees, you have these 3 different options here. As you can imagine, the most expensive one on the top is the thing. The SIP Blue Shield HMO plan. College of the Desert offers 1 HMO plan to their retirees. It's got a $10 office visit copay, really big HMO plan. Again, I've got the details here if anyone's interested, but these HMO plans, basically, really easy to use. You just pay your $10 office visit copay. There's specific copay, there's a $100 ER copay, there's some little dollar amounts here and there. But for the most part, you're not subject to those big dollar amount, like cost sharing like people are under PPO. For instance, a surgery, as long as your doctor approved it, you pay your designated copay and that's it. It's not a certain percentage, which is kind of different. Again, the copayment-based cost sharing, and when I say that, I just mean specific dollar amount, you know exactly what you're going to pay for that service. And a lot of times things you don't even pay for, like lab work and x-rays and that kind of stuff. HMO plans are pretty much included as long as your doctor okays it and approves it. On the PPO, all that stuff's subject to that deductible I was talking about. So that's kind of what makes it different. It's a little more restricted though because you do have to have a primary care physician and medical group. And again, they're responsible for directing your care. They make sure that everything you're doing is medically necessary. They approve every single thing that you do. If there's an emergency and you have to go out of the network on HMO, your medical group will cover it. But it's really, really important that you contact your medical group as soon as humanly possible so that they can get you in network and take care of you. But, it's kind of nice because you're protected from that balance billing I was talking about on the PPO. Here you're more restricted, but with that restriction comes protection from that. The medical group is in charge of your care and they make sure that you're staying in the network and you're only receiving services in the network. And you must live in a service area to get an HMO. Not everybody can be on an HMO, so as retirees you have to live in a service area. Active employees can use the college as the qualifying group. So that's basically the HMO in a nutshell. Again, I've got details on the HMO plan if you want, like what exactly it covers, what the exact copays are. But that's just it in a nutshell and how it differs from the PPO plan that you have, an option. And these these PPO plan here, the PPO plans and the HMO plan, primarily for under 65, that's usually people, that's the only option if you're under 65 or an under 65 spouse. As an over 65 retiree or spouse, you can still take the HMO or the PPOs. They cost a bit more though than the companion care or Medicare Advantage plan we talked about earlier. But these options still are there. It would just be that your Medicare would be primary, these would be second. And some people do like to do that because they, for whatever reason or other, they're really happy to plan on in their life. So that's basically it. I just, brief overview of Medicare. Your option is College of the Desert Retirees. And I'm available for any questions that you guys may have. And feel free, I'm sure you're not the only one to get questions. Yes?
Okay. There are some things that are not covered, like a doctor of osteopathy or some, chiropractic or natural holistic people. Those are not covered, is that right?
It depends on what plan you're on. I know if you're looking for stuff like that, the PPO plans that we offer are going to provide the broadest coverage in terms of that. I know we do cover acupuncture and things of that nature on the PPO, the Blue Shield PPO plans.
So if the PPO doesn't cover it and you get the companion care, is it covered that way or no?
The PPO plan doesn't cover it.
If the PPO does not cover, say, some chiropractor, and you do purchase the companion care, will that cover the chiropractor?
Well, the companion care works with Medicare. It's not related to the PPO plan at all.
But so
then Medicare doesn't cover it. The companion care would not cover it.
Then Medicare will cover whatever Medicare covers. It's not tied to what CIS will cover.
Right. Companion care plan, that's a good point. Companion care plan is not, I don't want to say not related to CIS coverage, but it's more related to Medicare coverage. Companion care is a supplement to Medicare. So if you want to know what companion care covers, what does Medicare cover? That's what companion care covers. So if Medicare does not cover, that's, osteopathy or whatever it is you're talking about, the supplement companion care will not cover. And that could be one of the advantages to taking one of the PPO plans as an over 65 retiree. So possibly instead of taking this companion care plan, which only covers Medicare, you could, I mean, if that was something really important to you, it might be probably cost you a bit more per month. But these plans here have broader coverage in that kind of spectrum with the, like you said, the osteopath, kind of alternative medicine. I mean, and not to say that the PPO plan is going to cover everything, but if that's the direction, I mean, that's an advantage to these plans. We would still require that you get Medicare, but if Medicare didn't cover it and the PPO plan did cover it, you would get coverage through the PPO plan. So you do companion care, you would. Does that help? No? Okay, good.
Okay, I'm going to be turning 65 a few months before my spouse is actually covered employee. So, could you explain in my specific case question what happened? Do I stay on this plan until he turns 65, or how does that work?
Sure, and so you're the spouse and you're the active employee, you're actively working right now? No, a retiree. Gotcha, okay. And I want to make sure I have it correct. So you're the retiree, and everyone's the spouse. But you're covered under
I had
him.
full-time, but she was an adjunct.
Gotcha. So you're covered through him, who's a retiree in the district, and you are not yet 65? Correct?
Not quite.
Okay.
Thank God.
Enough that you look at it. So from what I understand, it kind of, Diamond might have to chime in here as far as what the district contributes. But from what I understand, the district contributes up to age 65? Yes, so you get a contribution. However, you can still continue past that point. You would just be responsible for paying the premium on your own. That's correct, the district allows.
Yeah, I think so.
And I would have to start paying the premiums on my own when I turn 65 or when he turns 65? What?
When you turn 65, when you turn 65, you would have to then some other Medicare.
You're talking here.
Are you nervous?
Pardon me?
Well, whenever, as we told you, whenever you're 65, you have to supply the Medicare card, and then it would go into supplemental, whoever turns 65 first. But your coverage, so not until 65, but the person who's the employee, you'd be covered as part of the district contribution, you know, this is certainly contributing the 50,000 per year, and you cover beyond that until 65. Then you have to do Medicare, and then it's supplemental. But if you're not 65, your spouse is then she would be taking. She is 65 has to be.
Yes, she has.
But so, like, when I turn 65, then are my dental benefits going to cease then, or do they continue until?
Under my plan.
They will continue until and then you decide which coverage you want to take.
Thank you, Ben. Yes.
Do you have an office here on campus and someone can come sit with you?
No, unfortunately, we don't.
Is
But
there someone here to go through?
like your specific instance with
Yeah.
No, but we can help you with that, or if you need something. I mean, we're located in Bakersfield, we are remote. I'm the account manager assigned to College of the Desert, so I can certainly help you with that. I can give you my information, and you can contact me at the office, and I can go over these with you. Yeah, that's what we're there for. But we don't have like a central base where you can come. It's kind of more as things come up kind of
You,
arrangement. Yes.
yeah, because of that, my next question is, do you come down here more than once a year, or is this it?
You know, when as needed, maybe a few times a year, but when we're needed, I guess. It's not a regular thing, though. I don't come down like every month or anything like that. As needed when, renewal comes, when we get our new rates together from here, I can come down then. I came down this last summer for the active employees to talk to them about the benefits. So it's kind of an as needed thing. Yeah, we are located in Bakersfield, but we are there to help as well. And I believe the district actually works with an insurance consultant as well, and they may be able to help with those kinds of things, aligned insurance services as well. So there's resources. It's just not. We don't have an office here now.
You're also welcome to call me. I'm managing benefits here, and if I things that I can't, I'm not an expert in Medicare, but I would be able to help refer you on to someone who might be able to answer your specific questions about this. Diane.
Do you have
Myself?
My number is 760-773-2529.
529. No extension.
That's that they're planning to do resources. Make sure that that.
May I ask another question?
Sure.
Okay, so you're talking to us about Medicare specific to SIS.
Yes.
And I think I heard you say you get all this mail,
Yeah.
and it comes from different companies. So the person turning 65 has choices of getting Medicare from a whole variety of different places.
Right, gives plans to supplement their Medicare or to, yeah. Because Medicare, you're gonna get from Social Security.
Okay, so someone, what do you do? What if no one's sent you any mail and you turn 65? Do you call somebody and say, you forgot me, or?
Yeah, and you should be getting, you should be getting information from the government, from Social Security. They're the ones who are gonna reach out to you. But definitely, since you're aware, when you're coming up on your 65th birthday, make sure to contact Social Security, contact Medicare. We've got Medicare.gov, it's a really, really informative website on Medicare. It's got an FAQ section that tells you what to do. Again, only because I'm not a representative of Social Security and of Medicare, I don't feel comfortable telling you the exact timelines and things like that. But from what I understand from all of our retirees, we have a huge membership, is that Medicare does reach out to you and let you know what's going on. And, go ahead, Ben.
And also, it is important to sign up because even if you were doing a supplemental plan here, she's talking about the cases in college discharge. If you were just going with Medicare alone, if you wait longer than your 65th birthday, they can impose penalties for not enrolling in time. So it is really important to sign up, a little bit after your 65th birthday.
But you sign up by calling Social Security.
Yeah, they'll probably be sending you information, or you could probably just Google Medicare and get a number to call.
Yeah, Medicare.gov is a really good resource. Yeah.
My guess is they'll find you.
Yeah, and I haven't heard that.
They know who you are.
Yeah, I've never, to be honest with the huge population we work with, we never really hear of that being a problem. They will contact you. But with that said, yeah, Medicare.gov, good resource. Just call around, figure it out, but you're going to get information.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
So if you enroll in a SIS plan on retirement and then the college subsequently negotiates with another insurance company, are we then still eligible for the companion care, or once the college contracts somebody else, and we're no longer in the pool, we're not eligible anymore?
You're correct. That's an excellent question. And not that I would ever expect that to happen because we are very stable and we're kind of more of a long-term solution. But if it did, you're correct. You can no longer remain on the system. But I'm sure that if that were to happen, that the district would have something for you. I don't think they're going to just leave you extra. Whatever new carrier they went with would have plans for you. But yeah, you are correct. That's a good question.
You gotta have TVs or something to read. Who knows the financial condition of
Right.
college? I don't need this.
But there are good times for taking care of
Yeah, that's the only time. But we grow so much, and we see, we just had 12 districts every year, literally grow so much. We never really see districts. We just see people come in. I would never anticipate you guys. Based on the industry, we're really competitive. Again, we don't have any, we're not profits. There's no profit margins, hospitals, again, long-term management. I don't see happening. Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, so you look at it next time.
I just wanted to know, when this community is
there's a lot of different pieces that the healthcare reform basically. There are so many different pieces to that. Regulations are even out on all of them yet, and they're kind of rolling them out year by year, 2014, 2016, 2018. And the regulations again aren't even out of the work. So we're addressing them as they come. However, there is something in regards to the coverage gap I talked about, that donut hole. From what I understand, they're trying to, and again, anything can change. They can decide to appeal it next year. But if it all remains as it is, I believe what they're trying to do is eliminate that coverage gap for retirees, to where you would Again, that's assuming that everything remains exactly as it is and that it all works out and there's money for it. But from what I understand of healthcare reform, that's what their goal is, to make it to where, even on those outside plans, we're not coverage. But for now, it's still there. Yeah, definitely. Good question. Are there any other questions?
Sophia?
Yes.
I have Medicare A and B,
Okay.
and I have the PPO
Okay.
as well. But for the pharmacy,
Yeah.
Medicare does not pay pharmacy, right? I mean,
Right.
it would, my PPO would pick up the pharmacy part of it.
Yes.
Correct.
You're correct. And
And
go ahead.
okay, and I've been paying a certain amount for medication that I need every month. And this last time it went up from 25 to 40, and they said that that's what it was. I didn't get any notice on that. Is that customary? Is that
No.
Blue
So
Shield?
you're on one of the PPO plans?
Yes,
And your prescription just suddenly went up?
right.
It could be because the plan itself changed. No, you guys said 725. So you're paying more than 725?
Yes. I have the C plan. So,
You have this plan here,
right.
and you pay more than the $25 per plan?
Yes.
And it could be maybe that it was mail order, is that possible?
No, it was at the pharmacy.
Yeah, that's not standard, and it should be unless there's something, I'd have to talk to you specifically about it, unless it's maybe a specialty drug.
Okay, but you recommended Costco for pharmacy, is that right?
Costco for generics, you can get them for generics.
Okay.
Yeah, generics only, and pain medications, and narcotic painkillers, those are excluded, but
Yeah,
everything
no,
else.
it's not a painkiller.
Okay,
And it has to be a 30-day supply. They won't do it, like your doctor always says 60-day
Right.
prescription, they will only do it.
Yeah, that I know, the insurance will not do that. Now, I did order one medication via Medco, and that seemed to work.
oh, on the mail order?
Yes,
Yeah, you can do the mail order for the 90-day supply, you get a slight discount. You know,
yes.
it's not free, like Costco for the generics, but for the brand names, it works out really well, because you do get a saving. It's actually $60 for a 30-day supply, or for a 90-day supply, which is, if you do the math, would be 75 if you went to the pharmacy. So, yeah, you can save there. Yeah, with that specific one, I believe, it's more than likely what you're telling me is maybe a specialty drug as well.
Huh. See here.
Yeah, but that's not the typical case. Typical would be this right here.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd be happy to look into it for you too.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that have cost?
On this HMO, yes. Yes. Generics for free. Yeah, so if you're paying that $7, you can go to Costco and get it for free, other than painkillers. Yeah, and you don't have to be a member of Costco either. You can just let them know you're using the pharmacy. Yeah, it'll save a lot of money a month. If you're taking 5 of them a month, 5 times 7, 35 per month, times 12 per year, it's a lot. Yes.
So there are some specialty drugs that do cost more than 25 bucks, which in our household, someone's taking one. You said that you would look into it for us?
Yeah, if there's a specific drug, I can look in to see how much yeah, with the specialty drugs, those really,
It's not really a specialty drug, but it's because she can only take the brand name, and so they're charging her $32 instead of $25.
That's actually a different instance than a specialty drug. That's, our plan doesn't have what's called generic substitution, which means if you're prescribed a brand name drug and there's a generic available for it, then we require that you take that generic, unless you have a medical reason to need that brand name. And if your doctor feels to attest to the reason that you need it, then you can get it for your $25 copay. However,
No, she's getting it for, she did testify, she's trying the other one.
yeah,
The generics that don't work, so she has to take the brand name, but it's costing more than $25.
it shouldn't, it's that authorization in place. Again, it's kind of depending on the details of the instance, unless it is a specialty. If it's not a specialty,
Examine.
oh yeah, it could be that what happens if the doctor doesn't give the okay, but it sounds like you did in this case, then.
Yeah, they wouldn't give her everything without the doctor's okay.
And what they will, here's the thing, there's a couple things. With generic substitution, they will give you, if the member insists on the brand because they want the brand, no, I'm not saying it's just so you know how it works. What they would do is they charge the member the difference in the cost between the brand name and the generic, which is quite a bit of money, plus the copay. So, if they have a doctor's authorization, they should just be charging this. And that's why with your specific instance, I want to just check for you. And I can check with Express Scripts to see what's going on. Because maybe it could be the doctor saying this and Express Scripts saying that. Maybe they just need to be connected to But it doesn't,
You know what, the thing is, she has fought with this for 2 years, since we first went to CIS, and they've said it's either, she's been charged anywhere from $35 to $75
Yeah.
for 1 month worth of this drug, but then they said, well, then we can't give you anything, you have to have a generic, which doesn't work. So she's like, don't bring anything up because I'm gonna end up losing my ammunition, and I did that, so, I mean, we were really caught, whenever you call, you get dumped into these phone banks, you know, and I don't know where they are, but, you know, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't give you, you know, it's really bad, like a problem.
you know, I can help you look at what's going on. Sounds like you got something, and there's some kind of issue going on there, like customer service issue. And that's kind of what we're for, escalated case issue. You're right, we do have,
But it isn't just customer service, it's a
Medicare, yeah. And that's, we usually send members just to Medicare because they're the pharmacy medical manager, they do everything. But when it comes like this, and something's ongoing, and it's been years, and you need a clear answer, I can help them.
Okay.
And I'll give you my information before you do so.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm not about traveling quite a bit, but I will follow up for you.
okay.
So I'll give you my information for you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we don't want to hear that, we don't want to know this, you know, we'll try and get it figured out. Okay. Are there any other general questions, or, and again, I'm here after if you have any specific questions too that you don't feel comfortable talking about out loud. And thank you all for coming. I'm so sorry for my coughing fit right in the middle of it, but thank you so much for coming. And there's flyers and there's bags over here. Help yourself to these bags, I need to get rid of them.
Thank you everyone for coming, I appreciate it.
Not only have an invitation for you. December 15th to 16th. Phones are going to be there. Yeah, dates it says this to get up there. That's why the students, when they came in for their party, I would not give them Thank you for coming and being part of this.
Sure, thanks.
Setting it up, I really appreciate it.
I'm glad people showed up.